Hello, my name is Nate Ogle. I serve as a prosecuting attorney at the Knox County District Attorney's Office, but today I am coming to all of you on behalf of the KBA Judicial Committee so that you will have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Judge Gregory McMillan. Judge McMillan presides over Knox County's Fourth Circuit Court, and he was elected to that position in 2014 and is now on the ballot for re-election this year. Judge McMillan, would you like to start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll proceed on to some of the questions the Judicial Committee has compiled?
Certainly. I appreciate the opportunity today. I am a Knoxville native, grew up here, went to University of Tennessee and College of Law, practiced law for 22 years before I took the bench in 2014. Most of my practice was in family law, but I had engaged in other forms of litigation as well. Decided to run for the bench and have enjoyed the last 8 years, and I'm looking forward to serving again for the next 8, hopefully.
All right, Judge McMillan, we'll sort of launch into these questions. First, what makes you qualified to serve, and what do you consider to be your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
Well, as I indicated, I have an extensive background before I took the bench in family law and all the types of cases that this court has jurisdiction of. For those who may not know, I handle the domestic relations portion of the circuit court's caseload, which means that I have all of the divorces, post-divorce, child custody matters, child support matters, and contempt matters arising from all of those. I also have the appeals and dependents and neglect cases from juvenile court. I have termination of parental rights and adoptions as well. And that 22 years of experience covered that expanse, and that's probably what I bring. I have a tremendous sense of empathy for the litigants who appear before me, because the problems they are experiencing in their life are not ones that I'm unfamiliar with, having practiced for so long. And then also, there are things that you experience in your own life that prepare that. So I care deeply about trying to make sure that I am listening carefully, applying all of my experience and knowledge of the law to try and make the most appropriate decision based on the facts and the law. And it is that desire to serve and the standards to which I hold myself accountable that I think are my greatest strengths.
And Judge McMillan, what have you or what has been the most effective methods for improving court procedures and efficiency that you have put into place since you have been on the bench in 2014?
Well, the one that I get the most comments about, and the one people seem to be happiest about, are working with Mike Hamm in the court clerk's office and some of the people that he brought over when he hired some new staff. We started only setting cases where there had been service, so that only those cases on orders of protection where we were ready to go forward would actually be set and require people to come to the courthouse. That cut down on the number of people in the lobby. When the docket was heavier, I was starting court at 8 o'clock to get people back in the courtrooms and moving so they're not standing there. I have obtained the cooperation of the other circuit judges and chancellors, and they sit on a rotating basis with me so that the 70 or so cases each week are split between 2 courtrooms, so that we have as many people getting their cases handled as quickly as possible, which also helps cut down the congestion there on the main lobby level of the courtroom, of the courthouse. That's probably the thing that most people have noticed and have commented about. Oh, orders of protection day aren't like they were. Well, the caseload really hasn't gotten down. We just have tried to get really more efficient about how we handle them, get them in, get them handled, and get them done. One of the things we are doing now is if there are criminal charges involved, we are dealing with those and seeing if they're going to assert their Fifth Amendment rights. And if so, we're putting those on hold, protecting the victim until the criminal court case is resolved. At that point, we can then go forward. By doing that, we don't make the petitioner and that respondent come down, every month or every 2 months just to be told, oh, you're going to continue your case. The clerk's office is really doing a great job of reaching out and telling them, hey, your case is going to get moved. There's no need to come down. And that keeps congestion down as well. The other thing I've done is when I realized how many people weren't bringing court reporters to record the testimony in a case, and I was realizing how many cases were going to be going from one day to another day to another day, and I was expected to retain that cumulative knowledge. I worked with Mike Hammond to obtain funds to get a video and audio recording system placed in my courtroom. So there are 4 cameras and 6 microphones that record all of the testimony and proceedings in my courtroom. That is searchable by me, so I can go back and review testimony. I can go back to the beginning of when it was installed 3 years ago. And DVDs are run every day, and they are the official record of my court. Litigants and participants in a hearing can request a copy of that recording. And on several cases where there hasn't been a court reporter, they have been used to prepare a record for appeal, which aids the Court of Appeals in saying not just having a statement of evidence, which may not contain everything and certainly contain people's demeanor and the way they testify. They have a video record so they can see and hear the people who have testified when they choose to use the record that way. Those are the 2 biggest things I think have really improved. I also am working to actively manage my docket with Miss King, my assistant. Attorneys will be really familiar with the fact that she's emailing 3 to 4 weeks out. Are you going to trial? What are you doing? What's going on with your case? Please let us know. The reason for that is in family law, and particularly these matters, there are a lot of things that come up and you need to have a hearing now where that you weren't anticipating. And sometimes you really need to address them before you have a trial. So by managing that, I know where there are open spaces in my docket and I can find time for a 3 or 4 hour hearing that needs to be done. And when that's not available, I frequently have hearings between 8 and 9 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, 3 hours of testimony in an effort to try and make sure that an emergency matter is getting addressed and handled, and litigants and the parties and the children have the answers that they need in cases. So all of those things have really gotten to where the court runs more efficiently. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And it seems to be working.
Judge McMillan, what additional improvements would you recommend for the future of our judicial system?
Well, I need to talk to Sharm about this, but I really think we can be more efficient with the orders of protections. There are now lifetime orders of protection that are available for victims of certain criminal offenses. And if the order of protection were entered at the time of the conviction, it would save everyone time and energy. And I think that we could work with the criminal court judges to do that. I'm happy to be the court that issues it and does the paperwork. I just need better coordination as to when those things are happening so that they can be done rather than having to wait for the date to come up on my calendar, me reviewing criminal gems, finding out that it's done, having to then obtain the indictment and the either jury verdict form or the plea, reviewing it all and doing it. It could be done much faster. Elder abuse, the same type of thing. And then domestic assault cases, those cases are at times lagging having the order protections getting done when those cases are being prosecuted. And working with them, I think we could get that done up a little bit tighter and save the litigants and the court system a little bit more time and resources.
What's the biggest challenge you see facing your court going forward?
The number of people in our county just keeps exploding. And that means, unfortunately, that there are more and more cases being filed. We have a finite number of judges, and I'm not the only judge hearing domestic matters. All 3 chancellors do as well. But at some point, we are going to need to reevaluate the space of our courtrooms, the handling of cases, and that sort of thing. Really and truly, the challenge is just making sure that we can get to all of the cases that we need, because it's hard when you have 3 or 5 cases set a day and one of those cases goes and the other ones don't. I really need to know what my calendar is so I can put that other case back on quickly and get it heard. and so forth. Managing resources to get to all of the situations that need help is the biggest challenge, particularly as the number of cases and number of people in our county continue to grow.
Judge McMillan, who are your judicial role models, and how did you come to those role models, and how did you come to look up to these people?
Well, I really have to say that the beginning of my training and idea of what a judge is comes from the people who hired me when I left law school. So Charlie Susano, Sarah Shepard, and Charles Swanson, Larry Giordano all played a very large formative role in the first 13 years of my practice as to how this was to be done and what you expect, how you try cases, and in learning how they tried cases and I learned what I would expect a judge to do. In Knox County, we have had a history of excellent jurists. You know, Chancellor McDonald, Chancellor Kate, Chancellor Bell, Chancellor Weaver, Chancellor Fansler, and Judge Swan, Judge Workman, and Wheeler Rosenbaum, and Judge Wimberly. All were excellent jurists. They all had different styles. So you watch them and the way they handle conflict and the way they handle their trials and their things gave you a good example. In the federal bench, Magistrate Murray, and I only had 2 or 3 cases where I appeared in front of him, but he was so good at what he did that if I could even channel a tenth of the way he handled cases, I would be doing excellently. I hope that answers your question, but really and truly, it was the way I was raised as a lawyer and the way I was tried to try cases and prepare cases, and then watching the judges in front of whom I mostly practiced is where it comes from.
I think that's a fantastic answer. Thank you for answering that question. Here at the end, the committee has decided that every candidate would have 1 minute to sort of give a closing statement. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that now.
I appreciate the people of Knox County and the lawyers of Knox County who have supported me in my election in 2014. I look forward to having that opportunity again and enjoy service. I welcome the opportunity and appreciate it. I just want to say thank you to all of them. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Judge McMillan. I appreciate you being willing to do this interview. And on behalf of the KBA Judicial Committee, we thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.